My name is Todd Wall, and welcome to Communication Breakthrough, where we believe that intentional communication will lead to the breakthrough that you're looking for in your business. COVID-19 changed everything for our business because we had to create all this social distancing, and we had to create this new environment where business could continue, but we couldn't be close to each other. But it didn't just stay then. People didn't come back to the office. Things changed at that moment. And now we're in this environment where we've got some people are in the office, some people are at home, some are remote. It's this new hybrid reality that we're having to lead through. In the business that I'm a personal development director, we've got used to start the day with these great huddles every morning where we'd talk about the excitement of the day. We'd have a little breakfast together, a little team bonding, and we'd talk about the objectives we were going through. But now everyone's working remote, and things radically changed. Not only changing in that initial bonding moment, but how do you manage expectations going forward? How do you can no longer look over on someone's desk and see if they're working. Now it's this new situation where you're almost having to trust more. It's less management and more leadership. How do we lead in this new environment? If we can create this environment where they can achieve this greatness without us feeling like we're now having to even over micromanage because we're having to trust that they're working. We're not going into that sensitive place within our tender little leadership souls where we're over micromanage. To take a deep breath, to trust that we've hired good people, but now how do we lead them going forward? We brought together a panel of experts to analyze this new hybrid work environment. How do we manage? How do we lead in this new environment so that we can still get the results we're looking for without having to turn into micromanagers? Now, without having to turn into behaviors that really demotivate our team. What does this new reality look like? Join us. We're going to unlock this, and we're going to create the breakthrough you're looking for in your business. Stick with us. We're going to do this together. Let's go.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no. Also provide free shipping of your new CGM.
Welcome back to Communication Breakthrough, where we believe that intentional communication will lead to the breakthrough that you're looking for in your business and in your life. Look, the problem we've got today, solution to, is really how to handle in the best way the new hybrid work environment. Everything changed. We used to go face to face. We used to use the phone. Conversations with them. The whole world changed. So let's have some observation about the changes that have taken place and really have a good strategy together. My first guest that I have today is Chris Borha. He's a very unique expert in this field because he's not virtual companies. So on the side, but he's leading networking groups that help people create that authentic connection, a human connection they all absolutely need. Chris,
thank you. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your perspective on this. Honestly, I see this from a negative standpoint, and maybe I'm just being a negative Nancy here, but I mean, change is never fun, and we're having to change everything. I mean, in 2020, when COVID, no one was never now. Grandmother knows what Zoom is, and so with all these changes, and you've seen the for virtual, for live conferences, hybrid conferences, and your networking events. I mean, what's the changes that you've seen taking place in this new environment?
I'd love to start with just a little bit of background as far as communication, because it's something that I was always very challenged with for most of my life. And journey I started in the world of networking, where we started meeting other people and doing this business networking thing. And through that, so after many years, a way to continue to contend, we realize that all of us don't have the ability to meet the face. There's so many. We had 10, like close to 8,000 at the time, people in our group, and we wouldn't have 8,000 people at our events. I was like, okay, a lot of people, why can't they make it? Well, they've got different schools, maybe they're taking care of kids, or how can we bring people? We started in the virtual realm right around 2010. Found a software that was very similar to in person, the online interaction, just like it felt in person. So we set it out to our networking group and basically duplicated the in-person groups. So when pandemic hit, we were already ahead of the curve. And so we saw it from a different perspective, because even like everyone else went through about a week of, oh my goodness, we're going out of business. We can't meet in person. And that was our business, was putting together events and networking events. But we found a way to duplicate that experience. And what duplicated the experience, not was the fact we were physically there, but the conversations that we were allowed to have, the ability to see each other's facial expressions and to be able to exchange information and thoughts and emotions. And we were able to do that. And so fast forward a little bit deeper into pandemic, and other organizations were struggling just to set up a little bit of online time to where we're at today. Organizations were struggling. How do we do this virtual thing? How do we make it feel like the real thing? And what was missing was often easy to be able to convey information in a video format, but there wasn't much engagement. People didn't feel connected to it, because it really wasn't any more than a video recording. Like, why would you need to watch a conference or an event live? You could just watch the people end up not watching the replay. But what we were able to create a difference was duplicating the in-person, the type of interaction virtually. So we did that through pandemic, and now we're in the post-pandemic era. Yeah, last year was things are going more per instant, and there's some still hybrid, and there's still virtual. But because of the amount of time that we were relying on this technology, on video conferencing versus meeting in person, during the pandemic, we had to do this. And most people don't like to do what they have to do. And just like anything, a tool it just depends on how you use that live tool. And it opens up a lot. So for one, you have the ability to have that face-to-face type interaction. Without when I used to live in California, it was many, many years ago, but I know there's even more traffic now. To meet somebody for coffee, it is an ordeal to be able to get your orders in. And by the time you sit down and settle in, it's another 15 minutes later before you can get into the coffee. People would never do it. But with the ability to literally just jump on a Zoom or a quick video chat, whether it's on Teams, whatever platform people use, you can actually get right into the conversation, spend a few minutes. And then if you need more time, you can always rebook, you can book always additional time, even if you ran out of time, say, hey, let's do a 15-minute call. And then from there, you can always, schedule another call if it's not making a lot of new possibilities for us with the technology. And because we're now accepting it as an option rather than something we have to do because we're not allowed to see each other face to face.
I love how you put this as an opportunity, because change, and you're right. The early reaction was this was very painful, and there was a lot of people really change very quickly. But when we view this more as an opportunity, that really does change. That changes my perspective, because, like you said, you're able to meet with more people more efficiently. In our perspective, were we able to have even better conversation because you didn't have that actual person face to face? Did it actually improve the conversations?
I don't know if it really improved. Is that you're actually easy to get away from. And that leads me to the idea that the next generation, oftentimes we'll look at our kids or this upcoming generation and say they lost the art of communication. And I don't believe that. I think actually they actually communicate very well in a different way. It's just not in the way that maybe our generation or the previous generation communicated. But if you think about it, this next generation, they're connected in almost every aspect of their lives. They're on their phones, but they're communicating on their funny things. And they're on their phones. But what are they doing on their phone? They're communicating with each other. They're texting. They're commenting with each other. Even when they're communicating with each other, they're literally playing as a team on video games now. Before, if we're playing video games, it's just a one game, but now it's like they have their whole squad. They've got all their friends. They're talking to each other. It's like they're hanging out in the same living room.
I'm surprised you haven't heard my kid yelling in the background as he's playing a game with a group right here. I love this bringing in the new generation. I tell you right after this next break, let's jump into that and let's talk more specifically of how we can turn this into a new opportunity. All right, everybody, stick with us. We'll be right back with Chris. Let's jump more into viewing this as an opportunity and how can we flex and create more and more breakthroughs for your business.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans. Make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. Proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program.
If you're living with diabetes and you use insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and help make your best diabetes treat decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
All right, welcome everybody. I cannot wait to jump into my perspective on this question about the hybrid environment, new hybrid work environment, an opportunity for us. So, Chris, let's talk about this opportunity. Let's continue our conversation about this new generation. They may actually be leading the way and really setting out a template for us. It's interesting. A couple of days ago, and they had a millennial therapist on there, and I'm Gen X. Said us millennials have done to the new community.
They communicate nonstop. They're texting nonstop, and some of them, I remember initially looking at the different texts. I'm like, what does this mean? And what does this acronym mean? And what the heck is this supposed to be saying? But they've almost created another language, but it's just all still communication. They're still staying in touch with each other. And as I mentioned before, the video games, and they're just nonstop in communication with each other. And they know what's happening in each other's lives. So you think about it, look at the next generation, right? So the younger generation, they're in touch in everything, they know everything going on, whether it's through social media, through their video games even. And you look at the previous generation that's dependent on a phone call to stay in touch. And how often does that actually happen? We're idealistic, and they all say, I love to stay in touch. I love to build relationships. But when was the last time that you actually picked up the phone and called somebody just to say hello for no reason and not asking for anything? And it's almost like weird. Are you like, is everything okay? What do you want? Is everything's good? Or is anybody in the hospital? Is it an accident? Why are you calling? It's almost like a weird thing, but there's just
that's true.
Easy access through text and so many different.
Chris, I got to tell you the story about my aunt, who's the generation above me. And when all these acronyms were coming out, and she got on social media, and someone passed away, and they were talking about the person who deceased, and she came on and she wrote LOL because she thought it meant lots of love. And so we still tease her on the awkwardness of no, that's not what that meant. But that's what our generation is having to decode what this new language is all about. And so anyway, continue. LOL. Continue.
Yep. So basically, they're communicating. Meeting could have been an email when email was like a newer thing, and you could have just emailed us this stuff. I look at it as a way that all these new channels add more efficiency into our businesses, because we're not dependent on the traditional meeting. We can go straight to the point, and we have these, or we can have tools where we can do short video recordings like Zoom and other programs just like it, to where you can, there's a tutorial or somebody says, hey, I can't log in, or I can't access this, or you can record a 1 minute video to send it to them, and it's just as good as spending 30 minutes, or actually it's better than spending 30 minutes meeting, getting there and get a different topic. You can send it to them, and they can follow the instructions.
But would you say that's a good tip there is find these technologies like Loom, and even short enough video, able to have that semi face-to-face conversation where they can hear your vocal tones, they can see your facial expressions, but a short video, you feel like that's a key way of generating that core human connection?
Again, I think it just comes down to having more tools, and you have specialty tools, you have tools for different purposes, and that's why we have a whole tool chest or a whole toolbox, because each thing is for a different purpose. And I think we just have more tools available now. So the core is the same, is that you still need to communicate. You need to share an idea, a thought, an emotion. We can do that. I'm not saying that everything should be done like this, but for some things it can be. And things that are a lot more serious and you need to have a face-to-face chat, there's still a time and a place for that. But what technology does, it opens up new opportunities for us, whether it's on a conference, to where now that conference we can reach not just the hundreds or thousands in the ballroom for that event, but it can reach tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people virtually. And the same thing, organizations, we can reach the entire company with a video message or blast. We can invite people up to a virtual, two of us like in, and have them share just like they would have done in person. I think it's just a matter of perspective and just appreciating the fact that I think it's just looking at it as an extra tool.
So let me ask you a question with your video, because you said that there's a transition. Thing was live and in person, then it went straight virtual, and now it's both live in person, this hybrid environment for these conferences. What are your criteria when you're going on site for one of these large events? How do you make that is smooth so that they're still having the good live experience, and the people who are remote also all have a good experience? What are some of the criteria that you have to make sure that's effective?
Yeah, for the presentation time, that's pretty much straightforward because that's just a live stream. That's just whatever the people are seeing. The person speaking on stage, the people at home watching are exact same thing. Is when the presenter steps off of stage, and now you have the networking time, which is a value for any conference or summit, is the people that networking that happens. So that's where the online audience gets left behind. And creating an engaging experience for the online audience can be as simple as having a moderator or somebody that's overseeing, or even a virtual MC. When they go to break, you can have the virtual MC come on the screen and say, hey, we're all at break here in person at the in-person event, but we have a special activity lined up for you in virtual land. So all of you hang tight. We're going to guide you all, and here's the activity, or here's the prompt, and we're going to put you into breakout rooms to where you can meet in small groups. And here you're going to discuss what was the speech that made the most impact, what was your biggest takeaway, or what brings you here today, or share a little bit about yourself. That's more likely to be able to engage also with that call to action. Whereas if they aren't, and they're just vacuuming the house or doing the dishes and leaving it in the background, you're not going to be able to get them to take action. So having these things to where they can engage, to even where they're engaging in the chat throughout the whole conference, and you have a moderator on there to facilitate it, acknowledge them, welcome them, where you're joining from, or, giving them prompts to encourage, and even showing it to the on one of the downstage monitors for the presenters, to make where they can see the chat, or they can maybe flash the people that are on the virtual so they can actually see and engage with them. Or you can even bring them onto the big screen at the event and say, hey, we have an online question, or we have a special guest online that we'd like to bring into that connection. Yeah, and it seems one and the same now. So it makes it a event for the people in-house, because they see out of that room, and for people at home, they feel like they're part of the in-room experience because they see one of them on the screen in-house, or even strategy like panning out to where they can see the audience and see you in perspective, that the audience sees them on the screen. It's ways to be able to involve everybody. And the reason why is because that way they're there for that call to action, whatever that happens to be.
So it sounds like it starts by just being mindful that it's two separate audiences. And and if you're mindful, then approach them. So you have an MC for the stage, but also for the virtual event to be able to facilitate the flow. So you also can recommend having someone who's intentionally in the chat, try to engage people in conversation, like an extra person who's monitoring the chat.
Yep, absolutely. It's communication. It's engagement. You can ask questions and promptings. If people have anxiety, they'll do it. And for me, I got this perspective because of being shy and not being discomfort would come in because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing right now. Am I doing it already? Is there what's to happen next? And I found that providing enough guidance for people to know what's happening creates a lot of comfort for people. So whether that's in a conference or a networking event or a company meeting, acknowledging everyone, making sure they feel like their presence matters, like it mattered that they showed up. Because think about how many times do we go to, whether it's an in-person or virtual event, and we felt like it didn't matter if we showed up, could have disappeared and no one would even know we were there. And that's not a good feeling for anybody. If we could integrate people to where they all meet somebody, and we do this all the time at our in-person events or virtual, we make sure everyone is acknowledged, they get to share, they get to be seen, they get to be heard. Intentionality on our side as leadership. So whether it's for a company event or a conference, to make sure everyone feels like they matter, and not just that they feel like they matter, but they actually do matter. They contributed. It mattered that they showed up.
I love that, Chris. Those are such great tips and great perspective. Not only opportunity we now have to connect with more people, but as we connect with more people, be mindful that in this that you've got two different audiences and have a strategic approach so that everyone feels involved and engaged in the conversation. What's the best way someone can connect with you? Which channel are you on the most?
I'm on LinkedIn, and probably to that is Facebook. So I like both of them. I have Instagram, but I don't use it that much. I have TikTok, but I don't really put stuff on there. So LinkedIn, Facebook, that's probably ones.
Fantastic. Chris, thank you for your perspective today. And I really value the time that you've been able to share with you. So, hey, everybody. So stick with us. We're going to be right back right after this break with another expert. Let's keep solving this problem together.
Call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help veterans and their families, and you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now, minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
This is an interesting new predicament many companies are finding themselves in. Some people in the office, some people remote. It's a very interesting dynamic, but keeping that unity and the cohesion of mission is necessary. In order to solve this equation, let's go to the root and not just chase the symptoms. Go back in my archive just a little bit and enjoy my clean face, but let's look at the conversation I had with retired Marine Colonel Tom Connolly, talking about a leader needs to set the context of the mission. Here we go.
Like when you and I talk offline, that you can be a manager, but you're not a leader. So as you engage with companies and helping them, the leaders become a leader, stand out as a leader, what is really the problem you're facing? And as you talk with your clients, what's the primary problem you guys encounter most often?
Wow. Well, the first thing is that in the in industry, in the private sector, we promote people to leadership positions. I don't know if it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily inspiring them to the cause, but it's inspiring them to continually improve and to perform for the team, to become greater than themselves. It can be a company, it can be a cause. The Marines or in the military, you join because you want to serve your country, but you fight for the guy who stands next to you, for the person that is on your right and your left, for the brothers and sisters that you've come to love because you share the same dirt. In industry, you share the same challenges, not necessarily a cause, but a reason to be better. And I think that I think that that's very similar. And so you're inspiring your people to better selves and to grow and get better and to raise up the company, not just to more money, but to gain in what you do every day. Nobody wants to work or be in any organization that's failing.
I agree with you. So many businesses will, they put the fancy mission statement on the wall, and it's important to be in alignment with the mission. But what I'm hearing you say, even the inspiration comes from, is everyone pushing each other and driving each other to grow and be more, to be better? Is that essentially what you're saying?
Well, it's absolutely, mission, and that mission of that company, if people want to work there, they should want to embrace that mission. But the mission is the reason, but the purpose. What's your purpose? You have a mission and a purpose. In the military, we roll them together. A mission statement in the military always includes purpose. But why do you have to work every day? What is it that you do? And the people right and left you to do that causes you to come to work every day and to do your best work. And part of you, that's your drive to hire better comes from the culture that you develop in the organization around you, where everyone works together to accomplish something.
I guess a disengagement. What's that equal opposite?
Well, you're spot on, Todd. My going ambition was, and the reason I do what I do is because I believe that if you want to make an organization better, you make the leader better. And if you want to if the leader wants to make his organization better, then he makes people better. And he engages, and he's involved, and he wants to grow the organization.
So I heard that in an interview, but give me a scenario. You let so many different organizations within the military. So describe to me a situation where they weren't on mission, they weren't on purpose, and what were the outcomes that you kind of saw in that?
you're in an organization where the leader isn't engaged or interested in helping his people, then you'll eventually things begin to unravel where the subordinated leaders are working together. There becomes no cohesive direction. If you're if you have an organization, it's I've never been in an organization that completely fell apart. That needed help because they weren't focused and they didn't know how to create the appropriate guidance, and you just jump in and start and you, okay, this is our mission, this is our purpose, here's where we need to go, this is what I expect from you, and tomorrow we'll do this again with another iteration of where we're going, because we just took one step. Now we're going to take another step. Now we're going to take another step. Listen, everybody loves a vision, an end state, and here's where we're going. This is what the big picture, and it's one of the best things that leaders can do is provide context to the people in the organization. This is why we're doing things, right? You know, Simon Sinek talks about why. People talk about why. Why is it? You know, my son was off candidate school last summer, and I asked him, I said, what would you tell a young person about where they need to go and what they need to do? And he said, I would tell them, if you have a strong enough why, nothing can stop you. I thought that was just awesome. That was just great. And so if you understand the context, and this, I did this all the time in that, especially with organizations, I had platoons spread all around the battlefield doing different missions. They weren't all together moving in one direction. They could even be, that wasn't their mission. But the things that they were doing were the mission. They didn't need context. They needed to understand the other things were happening out on the battlefield and the whys of it. And so every time I talk to them, why? Understand this is what's happening. He wants to work in a job that's important. And every job should be important, or it should exist.
I absolutely love that. The leader must bring context to the mission of the organization. Provide the why. Stick with us after this commercial break. You're going to want to hear more.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance that keep on coming and want to learn if you terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here with Alone? You can connect with medical anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone. Life-saving medical alert device. It's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. Here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you Care Watch for free. Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. Call is free. Activation is free. Shipping is free. And no contract is required. Remember, qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your Care Watch right now. Operators are standing by.
Remember, it's intentional communication that will lead to the breakthrough that you're looking for in your business and in your life. In this dilemma of the hybrid work environment, it saves me the money as a business owner in reducing our footprint of the size of office that we may have needed. But now we've got troops, we've got team members all over the place, some in person and some, in remote locations. How do we keep them all moving in the same direction and purpose? Colonel Connolly said, it's up to the leader to provide context of purpose, to bring everything in focus. It's about leadership at the end of the day, not just managing these people and their tasks and their standard operating procedure, but leading them from point A to point B. Let's jump back in this conversation and let's hear more about authenticity, transparency, and when a person needs to come and when they need to go. Hire them for a reason. Let's look at it.
I think that leads into that second point that you made in having clarity of the desired outcome. So how do you communicate that so where, so it's not just what you're trying to accomplish. Like you said, each level needs to have an idea of the big picture, I guess. But how do you give clarity to what the desired outcome, or mission of that moment? How do you define that and bring people on board?
Well, so, okay, are we in a crisis situation or are we not in a crisis situation? Are we just trying to make things better? A measured approach is always the best way. In a managed approach, where you gather other people at different levels and engage in conversation and in communicating things of context, in a more measured in a planned approach. But if you're in a crisis, you don't have time for that, right? You don't have time to do that. So you have to go to those various places and give as much of what you know. Authenticity is what carries the day in a crisis, right? That's in thinking you have all the answers and acting like the imperious, authoritarian. You may not have all the answers, but sometimes, mom and dad, they told you to, do that because I said so. Sometimes you have to do that. But creating as much context with as much authenticity as possible in the time that you have to do it is critical, because people understand honesty and they understand authenticity. Yeah. And they understand if you really care, if you really give a crap. Okay. And they see it in a minute. So, but like I said, how do you do that? As much context as possible about what the situation is and what you think it ought to look like. And then whatever time you have for the feedback of those people who are closest to the problem.
I like that. Matter of just knowing where the strengths of those people are. I mean, because a weakness in this moment may be a strength in another moment. Am I assessing that correctly? Or how do you play the strengths and weaknesses out?
Well, if you hired them for a reason, right? It's not like the where you can't just, you can't hire somebody. But you hired people because they had value. And so what is that value? The objective of, is to have the right people on the bus, but you got to have the right people in the right seats on the bus, right? I can't remember who said that, but somebody did. They got to be in the right jobs to do the right things. And if they have value, then you have to play them more strong. That's the objective.
Tom, I absolutely love that. I hate to interrupt there, but I mean, you hear managers so quick to, and just like you just said, didn't you hire them for a reason? Were you confident in your ability to assess them on the front end, or really, just like you just said, are they not just in the, are they just not in the right seat? And I think that speaks to leadership.
Oh, it absolutely, that's what leadership is about. Is make sure that the leader's job is to make sure that he has the right people doing the right things, and if he doesn't have the right people, then he has kinds of things that he can do. He can train them, he can mentor them, he can try them somewhere else, and if he has to, he can, he has to let them go. But that, that if you hired them to the organization for a person, but you don't have to let them go. You don't have to fire them. You can find another place for them to prosper.
But just like in the military, it's obvious when they need to go. I mean, there's a break in morality. There's a break in, character, whatever it may be. That's obvious when a person needs to go. And I think the flip side is true. It's also obvious when you just need to lead a little bit better.
Listen, I'm the first person to say, right, and my goal is winning in one position, that you make the organization better by making the leader better, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's no like in position, or I wouldn't. Yeah, but in every day should be you should be looking at her and saying, "Am I doing this right?" The greatest lesson learned in Iraq, lead time in combat, was every day I land in the mirror and decide, did what we do yesterday get what we were, did accomplish what we were trying to, and it didn't. Why did turn the ship a little bit? And because every time you do that, you got to go to your people and you got to say, okay, I was.
I absolutely love what Colonel Connolly's really these new facets that he's brought into play, that ultimately it is the leader's role to not only provide context of the mission at hand, but to lead that actual action mission with authenticity and transparency, and making sure the right rules and are fulfilling the right people, doing the right things, like he said. But then, like Chris said at the very beginning, is also very interesting in this perspective of these hybrid environments of the events that are in person versus the ones that are virtual, understanding that they are two unique environments and two completely different experiences. And then we must be mindful of these unique experiences that they actually have. It's a lot easier for a team to interpret, especially the well-being of a company, when you're in person. You can feel the ethos of the room. You can feel how good things are going. But it's much harder for a remote employee to really, or a team member, to really get the feeling of We can't even leave them hanging. We have to understand that they are in a unique situation. They don't have the both good and bad gossip even that's taking place. They can't see the intangible things, the good things that are happening in your company. We have to be intentional and communicate them. You have to be intentional communicating the good things that are happening in the company. What happens if a series of people leave the company, and you don't want everyone else interpreting that, oh, something is going wrong. You need to intentionally fill those in the blanks in communication, because communication and intentional communication will lead to the breakthrough that you're looking for in your intentional, and get that breakthrough that you're looking for.
This has been NowMedia Network's feature presentation. All rights reserved.